When you think about the stock market, you are looking to make the most money possible, which means finding the best stocks to invest in. However, that is only half of the game, because if you start to invest in a few bad stocks, it can tank your entire portfolio. So, right now, what are the stocks you should absolutely avoid investing in? And why do I have one stock on here that has actually made money? Let's go ahead and break it down. I'm going to start off with a stock I think that we could all guess that I would have on a list like this. So let's get that one out the way. That is Tesla. Year to date, which means January 1 to the time I'm recording this video, Tesla is down 19%. I don't like it. I don't trust Elon, and he has done a lot of stuff just this year to erode that trust. And that's not a personal thing, but I will give you my personal thought here in a sec. But here's what it is, okay? Now the stock is down. That's the main thing. That I'm looking at the numbers. The stock is down in a year where the stock market is up. When you get that dissonance, right? That distance between, hey, the market is good, but your stock is down, you've already soured me. I say it every time with every stock every year. That's a red flag for me, because I could be taking on less risk in an index fund, which I do invest in, but every time that happens, I'm like, hey, you are severely underperforming everybody, right? The S&P 500 is here, you're down here. That's a problem for me. Every single time, I've always been consistent on that. So that's number one. But this year alone, he's been doing and saying a lot of weird stuff. It wasn't just the gesture, okay, but it's his companies buying other companies, and that's becoming a commingling issue. For example, X, the Twitter platform, was just bought by his AI platform, which is now being perhaps acquired by Tesla. So now you have Tesla kind of eating up his smaller companies, and you're like, you're basically putting money in one pocket and putting it in the other. It's off. It's strange. Also, his Grok AI platform has it said some stuff. I'm gonna just leave it at that. It says some stuff, and he's trying to integrate that into his Tesla vehicles. I don't own a Tesla, so it's not up to me to tell you how to feel about that, but it's just odd. My question would be, how are international buyers going to feel about that? Their sales are already down. And then how are US buyers going to feel about that? Because I feel a certain way. However, buyers in the US have felt a certain way about Elon and have soured on Elon too. And unfortunately, and I think this is the biggest issue with Tesla, Elon and Tesla are like one and the same. It's hard to separate the two, and there's a problem with a celebrity CEO. It's kind of a weird symbiotic relationship. So it's weird. Can Tesla recover? Possibly. It is possible. But right now, in a world, in a market where I can make an easy 6% right now, we'll see what happens as the market goes forward. It's not guaranteed, right? Where I can just, hey, put my money in an index fund and not do anything, or risk it and put my money in something that can easily be tweeted down further or higher. I don't know. And there's a very unpredictable situation with him. Moving on to something that is even worse, right? Because it gets worse on this list, and that goes to United Healthcare. United Healthcare, I would assume, because they're an insurance company, would be relatively stable. Health insurance is important. Everybody needs it, right? Well, United Healthcare is down 41% year to date. That's not a company I would put my money in at all, or for the foreseeable future. I assumed, not that it was on any of our list, but I assumed that because it was one of the top 10 most valuable companies, at least at one point, and it was in the health insurance space, that it would have been, I don't know, it's the Titanic now because it's sinking, but I would assume this is a large structure that's not going to go anywhere, especially, again, insurance companies tend to be relatively stable and pay solid dividends. Apparently, that might not be the case for a company like United Healthcare. So I'm not sure what is going on there, but that's something I would obviously steer far away as far as possible that you can for a company like that. Next here is Adobe. Adobe is down 18%. Adobe used to be good several years ago. It is not right now. We'll see if that does change. In the back of my mind, back of my portfolio, I root for Adobe even though I don't own shares, but I did own shares of Adobe maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I try and keep an eye on it. They did buy Figma, another software company, that project management designer type of a firm, and we'll see where they end up going and if that helps Adobe here in the future. But Adobe very much used to be in that, Amazon, Apple, Google conversation in that tier 2 category, right? So it used to be those top 3 or 4, and Adobe was trying to reach that category. It hasn't really broken through, at least in my view. But it's not a company I would touch right now. It's a company I root for, and I hope it gets there from a stock market perspective, but it just has not done it. So put Adobe in your no category, in your no file for now. Then we move on to two stocks together that used to be very good that are not anymore. The first, Lululemon. Lululemon is down 39%, and this one has been falling off of a cliff. I don't know what exactly happened, and thankfully I got it out in December. Now I've been saying this, and especially because we just got out of June, and I think y'all have started to catch on to it. This is why I adjust my portfolio twice a year, okay? You want to make just little tweaks and adjustments every now and then so you can, get out of things when you start to feel or you start to see things go in a negative direction. Now, my daughter, she was born in 2020, bought Lululemon from the very beginning of her life, right? When Lululemon was doing quite well, and then we had hopped out of it. I think we had sold portions in different periods, but we had hopped out of it altogether. I did a video about what she owns and all that type of stuff a while back. You can see that video right here. But we had to get up out of that one. Another stock that we had to completely sell off, and thank God I did because things got way worse, is Decker Outdoors. 51% drop. And if I remember correctly, you can go back and double check, and I'll check as well. That stock is down 51%, and I am 90% sure I hopped up out of that one with a profit. And this again, I went back in December and said, hey, I'm making a profit. I'm gonna cash out. It looks like this stock is cratering for whatever reason. And I got up out of there. This is why I adjust my portfolio in December and in June. So I can take a look and say, hey, I've made my money, I'm leaving now. Or I've lost just a little bit, I'm going to leave now before things get much worse. So I'm glad I got out of Decker. I'll go back and review the video to see if I, absolutely made a profit or if I left in June or whenever. But I can tell you I did not lose 51%. Whoo! That was bad. All right. Speaking of bad, because this whole list is mostly bad, is Target. Target's been bad for a very long time. I did go back and I talked about this on Threads. I am on Threads. Feel free to follow me on there. We talked about Target several years at this point in time, and I've documented how bad Target has been for a mighty long time. Target is down 23% year to date, and Target really has not recovered, I guess, since 2021. I don't like Target. Target's had a lot of boycotts from a lot of different parties, but ever since about 2021, they started mismanaging everything since they came out of COVID, and it's been a straight slide down for the most part ever since. Not being managed well. I have two suggestions. Now, if you want to pay me, you can. Okay. We can get you fixed up and do the right things. But I think they would need a brand new CEO, because I think the CEO has been the same. And then number two, they need to have some sort of streaming partnership. Because as I mentioned 2 or 3 years ago now, you get Walmart, you get Paramount. You get Amazon, you get Amazon Streaming Plus or whatever. Both of those options have the 2-day free shipping. Target has what, right? If they do have a streaming service or a 2-day shipping option, it's really not advertised in such a manner, right? It's just kind of have it in the back, right? And I think they have some shipped, SHIPT, but again, it's not advertised well and it's not packaged well with some other streaming partner or some other benefit that makes you want to buy that or shop there than anywhere else. On the list next is Apple. Apple is down 16% year to date. I don't like Apple right now. I have not liked Apple for close to a year now, and neither does Warren Buffett. He has sold billions of dollars of Apple, and they have not created an innovative product. I perhaps need to do a longer form version of what has happened to Apple. If you're interested in that, feel free to let me know in the comments, but I'm getting slightly concerned about what is happening with the company and if they are going to be able to be Apple like they used to Apple. Speaking of what I would consider iconic brands is Nike. Nike is only down 5%. they've also been falling off. I think the interesting part of the story is how some of these companies like Lululemon, perhaps Decker, but definitely Nike, have not adjusted, I would throw Target in here too, have not adjusted to how things were during COVID and have started to fall off. I think Peloton fell off very quickly right after COVID, but then Nike evolved differently and now just has not recovered since. Again, comparatively, if you're down 41% like United Healthcare, down 16% or so for Apple, being down 5% isn't, again, as bad, but Nike hasn't been good for years. I've done an entire video as to why. They had just switched CEOs. We'll see if they're going to be able to recover, but the landscape is completely different. The Hoka shoes are out, the No Bull shoes, but with Tom Brady, that partnership, they're out. And people just have a lot more choices for a lot different price points. So we'll see whether or not Nike can compete. I am less confident in that company. And honestly, if we're being truthful, the brand of Nike is one thing. The stock performance of Nike has almost never been what we think of an Nvidia, right? Or what we think of Microsoft, or what Microsoft used to be. You don't see, 20, 30, 40, 50% returns for Nike on a consecutive basis. You might get a 13% every now and then. You might get a 20% once in a blue moon. So it was never a great, amazing stock, but it hasn't been great in the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years off the top of my head. So it's a definite no right now, but don't let the marketing and the branding and the commercials fool you with your actual money. And here's where we get a little controversial, perhaps. Amazon. Amazon is up barely 2%. Well, technically 1.94% if you want to get technical at the time I'm recording this video. It's the only stock on this list that is positive. Now, again, the stock market is up 6%. Amazon is up, let's round it up to 2%. Now, the difference is just 4%. That's fine. Here's the problem. Amazon still hasn't been totally impressive as a stock in the last several years at this point. I haven't been the only person to bring this up. The main thing, though, that I have with Amazon is opportunity cost. You could do better than what Amazon is providing you. Yes, the company and the branding of Amazon is one thing. I think we have to get out of that, right? We're still stuck in the FANG era, right? The Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google era, right? But even think of Netflix, where they're up 40% or whatever it is this year so far. You could be investing in a company like Netflix, but instead you're still investing in a company like Amazon, where you're only getting 2%. Why? Right? Whatever money that you're putting there, whether it's just 1 or 2 or 3% of your portfolio, could be invested somewhere else. You're leaving money on the table when you don't have to. And even if it's not a Netflix, you're still getting 3x more right now, right? 3x more in an index fund. Okay, you get 6%, or you would have gotten, to be technical, right? You would have gotten 6% in an index fund versus just 2% in Amazon. So again, it's really about where your money could be and what you could be doing way better somewhere else. So I just don't think it's worth the risk right now, and I want the best for you. I want the best for you right now. Everywhere else is losing money. Amazon, you could do better. I want the best for you, all right? So the next here is Accenture. I don't think Accenture is necessarily the most popular stock out there, but it is down 21%. I did invest in Accenture maybe 3 years ago. It didn't work out. Did work out for you, boy? It still ain't working out for Accenture. They're a consulting company. I don't know why they're down, and honestly, I don't care. It is something that you do want to avoid, though. I would argue that a lot of consulting firms right now, consultants go in and do stuff. They tell people to do things. They don't know what they do, depending on who you ask, are being replaced by AI, so the reports say, because they're not necessarily the most efficient. That's not a video that I'm equipped to do. However, it's just not a good place to be investing in. You might want to turn your attention to other places. If you want to know other stocks that are doing well right now and places you can shift your money that might be more profitable moving forward through the rest of the year, then this is the video you want to check out next.